Hello and welcome. This video is going to be the first one in my new series of testing old classics or being late in the game or however you want to call it. The idea is that there's so much great products in the world, and there's a lot of products that have that cult favorite status that I just never have tested before. So I got really curious about some of the products, so I decided to start my own series of these products. The first one is going to be, I'm sorry, it's not going to tell you much. This is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I've heard so much about this foundation, but there is quite a high price point which has prevented me to test this before. So I did get this sample. There is product enough at least for 2 or 3 uses. I did apply it today, so you can see already how it looks now. It's been on for half an hour now. But I will show you how I applied it. I used both brush and sponge, and what primer I did use, and my first reactions, because there is reactions. I will do a checkup later of how it lasts on my skin. So far, as you can see, things look good, but what makeup doesn't look good half an hour after applying it, so we cannot say much. But let's go to the applying part. As usual, I will prime my nose area. That's the minimum I always do. Quite often I use something glowy or moisturizing primer on my cheeks and something oil controlling on my T-zone. But the minimum favorite has been this new primer from Clarins. This is Instant Poreless. It's not anything like thick pore filling primer. It's more like a cream, but there is a little bit of pore filling qualities in it, and mainly it just even out the skin texture a little bit and makes my foundation apply smoother. And also sometimes I have this problem that for some reason foundation doesn't stick on my nose, and I found out that this primer does help that problem quite a lot. It dries down quite quickly, so this is enough. As you saw in the beginning, I have only a small sample of this foundation. It's that pricey that I didn't want to purchase this full size, especially as I have a little bit of doubts with this shade. This is number 2, and based on the swatches I saw online, I think my shade might be the 3.75, but it's not sold, at least in that store I got this one. So we'll see what happens, but usually I just apply my foundation first on my hand or on my plate, but because this is on this small jar, I will do this. And I have probably used too much, but this side I will use sponge, and on the other side I will use this is a brush. This side I will use a brush, and on the other side I will use a sponge. First impression, we have some light coverage. I did expect a bit more coverage, but it's beautiful on skin. It's like I have nothing on my skin, but my skin just looks so much better than without any makeup. at least for now the shade looks okay, so let's try to build this up a little bit. It might be also that this brush takes a little bit away that coverage as it is clean. They sometimes do that. As you can see, there is definitely a difference, but I still can see everything coming through, like my hyperpigmentation and the redness in this area. I have a little bit of pimple, something going on my chin, so that shows as well. It did build up a little bit, but still it looks really, really beautiful on skin. I feel that in my monitor it does look more full coverage than it does look in real life, but there is definitely a difference. Surprisingly big difference, considering the fact that it looks so skin-like. I'm a bit surprised about this. Let's continue to the other side. This will be the sponge side. The shade match isn't that bad as I was afraid of. Oops, not there. I usually do prefer cool-toned shades. This is definitely a warm-toned or neutral shade, so that's why I was a bit hesitant with this one. But it's not. I can definitely wear this and go outside. No problems with that. The sponge side applies exactly as smoothly as the brush side, and still it looks like I don't have any makeup on. I'm really, really surprised. I didn't expect. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't. I'm still feel surprised. Do you know the feeling? It's just like you don't quite understand what's happening, but you like it. Usually foundations look worst on my nose and on my forehead. They tend to kind of sit on top of my skin, and I need to even them out with the sponge. And surprisingly, with that brush, it might be because this is so dense and soft, I didn't have any that problem, and of course with the sponge there isn't any. But I usually need to work this foundation, any foundation on my skin, much more than I need to do with this one. There is definitely a little bit of that problem with my nose. It's just something, I don't know. It feels like my nose, the skin in my nose is so tight and slippery, and something that's it just doesn't stick. So my trick is usually I take my concealer brush and take a good amount of the foundation and just stipple it to my nose, and this is the trick how I usually can get it to last. So I do this to the point until the foundation has dried down, and this is the tip I can recommend if you have any problems with your nose, for example with the pores, that it kind of sticks on the pores. So this way you can just keep on smoothing it out to the point that it is smooth and dry. So I've done it for years and it works for me, so this is great. Also with these areas with my hyperpigmentation, if I want more coverage, I do that trick. So this is a good way to go. As I don't want to have big full coverage foundation, it's not my preference usually, so I'm very happy with this foundation so far. It's been really, it looks just like my skin. I'm a bit blown away with this one. Looks like I need to spend way too much money for a new foundation, because I've been looking for exactly a foundation like this with low coverage but still enough pigmentation to even out the skin tone, and something that will make my skin look like skin but better. The time is now, no, you cannot see, it's 10 o'clock, so that's the check-up time. So we'll see how this wears. I will probably put a little bit of concealer next to my nose because it does the redness peek through just a little bit too much. But otherwise I don't think there's going to be much. We'll see. I'll be back. Okay, the rest of my makeup is now on and I am still a very happy camper. I really love how this looks on my skin. The shade is very good. Surprisingly, it's good. I did use a little bit of that same concealer next to my nose, and I did test this new-ish city bronzer from Maybelline. This is the shade Light Warm 150. I don't know, let me know if you have tried the shade 100 to a fair cool tone skin, because I swatched it in stores and it did look very kind of mustardy yellow to me, so it was a bit confusing. I do like the shade of this. It does give me that a little bit of warmth but nothing else, and that's exactly what I look forward of an bronzer. On my eyes I did use this Shiseido palette, which I really love. This is the shade Jisho Street Reds 08. Jisho Street, let's forget it. And what else? Oh, I did apply a little bit of this new favorite powder. This is from Catrice. This is Glow Illusion Loose Powder. I used this to buffing my skin after applying powder. I cannot speak today. Blush, bronzer and highlighter. So I always buff with a loose powder, and this is perfect. And then I set my makeup using this Body Shop makeup setting spray. This has aloe vera in it, so as my skin has been very dry, I've been wanting to have that extra moisture on my skin. But here is the rest of the makeup, and I will check in or check up, I don't know how to say it. Anyway, I will test, check how it looks after a few hours. So it's now 10:45, so I applied my makeup on at 10 o'clock, so that will be the check-up time. We'll see later, so I'll be back. Alright, I've had this foundation on now for what it is now. It's now 5 o'clock, so it's been on for 7 hours. It has totally rubbed off from my nose, but that's because it's spring and there's pollution and everything, so I just had to wipe my nose. Otherwise, on my cheek, on my forehead and on top part of my nose, in my chin, the foundation is on exactly like it was when I applied it, which is amazing considering the fact that it's so light coverage. In here, foundation always rubs off. I just tend to lean on my hand, so it always happens. So at 7 hour point, I'm really impressed. But I'll continue. I'm going to go to do some errands now. I will fix this nose situation before that, so we'll see how this reacts when you apply a little bit of more of it in the middle of the day. But I will check up later again today. It's evening now, it's 9:15 here, so this foundation has been on for, what was it, 10 o'clock, 11, 9, 10, 11 hours. Cannot count. Let's see how it looks at this point of day. As I told you before, the foundation did rub off from my nose, but anything would if you have to sneeze a lot of times in a day, so nothing major. When I look from the mirror, my cheeks and my forehead all look pretty much the same as it did in the morning. There is a little bit of oils coming through, but 11 hours, thin layer, basically no powder, so no wonder. This foundation is for sure a keeper for me. I will definitely purchase a full-sized package. It's already one of my favorite foundations, and even my nose, which is usually quite awful looking at this time of day, is looking very good after that touch up a few hours ago. And after I did that, I went outside in the stores. I walked a few kilometers in the sunlight and carried quite heavy weights from store, and I got really hot. So this foundation lasted also a little bit of sweating, which is quite amazing result. So I am happy. This is worth the hype, at least for me. I don't know for dry skin, cannot say, but at least I mean oily skin, at least for dry skin, combination skin, this does work really well. I hope you enjoyed this. Sorry, my hands are trembling again. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any requests for classic products that you always wanted to try and you want me to test out, that are there all for sure worth the hype and worth the classic status, let me know in the comment section, or you can also contact me in Instagram as well. So I will be thrilled to try these classics. But now I wish you have a great day and see you next time. Bye bye.